Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jay Kohn. Janella's off on the early news tonight. Well, downtown parking woes in the spotlight tonight after several Billings motorists were ticketed for parking in a paid lot after hours during last week's Christmas stroll. Now, the lot in question is owned by Diamond Parking Service out of Seattle. One Billings man believes the company used the Christmas stroll as a way to cash in on parking violations. Officials with Diamond Parking Service tell us, however, that parking without paying is just like stealing from a local business, and they believe this incident might be a way to draw some awareness about their parking service. Diamond operates 19 parking lots that are scattered throughout downtown Billings. They include as many as 2,200 parking spaces. Manager Peter Sanderson says those Diamond lots have been around for 35 years. And when people complain about not enough parking, Diamond offers a service to those wanting to shop and dine downtown. Still, Billings resident Jeff Blotnick feels duped by the situation. He says he saw nearly 30 tickets placed on cars the evening of the Christmas stroll, and he says, like many residents, he thought parking after 5 was free. He believes if there's too many hurdles to shop downtown, it could hurt the city.
Everybody is working hard to keep downtown alive. The Downtown Business Association works hard to pull people in, has community events like this. You know, several people mentioned that because of the paid parking, they can go to the West End and they don't have to pay for any of the parking. There's no meters. A couple of people and the folks in the community said that, you know, they work downtown and they have to pay for parking. So, I mean, you have to pay to work down there and you also have to pay to shop.
In light of Blotnick's complaint, Diamond Parking Service points out that all of its lots are paid parking 24/7 and are well marked to alert visitors. During the Christmas stroll, Diamond offered a $3 rate which covered 15 hours of parking to help combat the issues of drinking and driving. It's already mid-December still, though the streets of Billings are bare and dry. Today we learned that the city street division plows have yet to see the light of day this winter. In fact, they haven't even been out once. Well, no doubt you recall last year's record snowfall when there was so much snow that private contractors had to be hired to help out city crews. Last year we saw our first big snowfall in the month of November. But even though the plows are idle this winter, Public Works say that doesn't mean they're not ready to spring into action. 41 frontline drivers and 30 vehicles are ready to go at a moment's notice. They even have sand left over from last year. So until the snow falls, crews are making use of this good weather to complete paving projects throughout the town. Speaking of our weather, Bob McGuire joining us tonight. And while we don't have any snow here in Billings, it's a much different story not far to the west, Bob.
It's a big monster storm, and it's going to come in several waves of moisture. Let me show you what's happening out there. Doppler radar shows you the first two waves. There's one that's right now between Bozeman and Great Falls, and that's your first batch of moisture and snowfall right there. Another one moving in behind that. But let's start a little closer to home and show you what we do have working here. High wind warning for the Beartooth foothills all the way up to Wheatland County and Harleton. 60 to 75 mile per hour winds there. Also on the mountains, we're looking at a winter weather advisory, anywhere from 4 to 8, 3 to 9, up to 6 to 12 inches of snow in that area. But wait a minute, we're not done yet. We have a winter storm warning on the front range of the Rockies, 8 to 10 inches of snow there, an avalanche warning on the western Rockies out there. Also in the Bitterroots, we're looking at maybe 7 to 13 inches of snow there. Plus, we also have a blizzard warning up around Glacier National Park for heavy snow there, and also winds gusting up to 80 miles per hour. It's a big storm, and all of this is going to come close to Billings, but we think it's going to fall apart before it gets to us. We'll show it to you in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. Well, today the Montana Supreme Court sides with Governor Steve Bullock in the case of a conservation easement that the governor approved without the consent of the State Land Board. At the center of the case, a 15,000-acre conservation easement east of Glendive. Under the agreement, Fish, Wildlife and Parks, the landowners were to receive $6 million in federal and state money in exchange for opening that land to hunters and other recreational opportunities. When the proposal first went before the State Land Board back in February, the board voted 3-2 to delay action. But Governor Bullock opted to go forward with the agreement. He maintained that conservation easements do not need approval of the Land Board because they're not a direct acquisition of land. State Senate President Scott Sales asked Attorney General Tim Fox for a formal opinion, and last month Fox ruled that the governor in fact had overstepped his authority. But today, the High Court siding with the governor and issuing a one-page opinion. It was signed by 6 of the 7 state justices. The court says it will issue that full opinion in due course. The long embattled 2018 Farm Bill has cleared another hurdle in Congress. Today, 87 senators voting in favor of the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018. Now, the last Farm Bill expired this past September, and it's been an uphill battle since to reach a compromise. But now, with bipartisan support, the new Farm Bill is moving over to the U.S. House. Montana's 2 senators voted in favor of the bill today, but both Wyoming Senators Mike Enzi and John Barrasso voted against it. Montana's 2 U.S. senators also speaking out today in support of a bill to extend health and disability benefits to a group of Vietnam-era veterans who were exposed to Agent Orange. And they're urging senators who are blocking that bill to relent and allow it to pass. Senators John Tester and Steve Daines joined at a late afternoon news conference today by New York Democrat Kristen Gillibrand. They said the U.S. Veterans Administration is wrong to deny Agent Orange benefits to Vietnam veterans who served on ships offshore during the war. A bill that would require benefits for those veterans has already passed the House, but Wyoming Senator John Enzi is blocking it in the Senate. Tester, Daines, and Gillibrand said the so-called blue water veterans are dying from Agent Orange-related diseases and no longer can afford to wait for care. Senator Daines says these veterans should get the same benefits as other Vietnam vets who were exposed to Agent Orange. Senator Tester says it's an obligation the country needs to fulfill.
We send those folks off to war, and we do it with some regularity. They do it, they do their job, and they come back, and they're exposed to things. If we're not willing to take care of our veterans when they get back home, we should not send them into places in this world where they might be exposed to toxins or get shot.
It's time to make a wrong right. Because currently we have veterans who were exposed to Agent Orange, who are on the ocean, who don't receive the same benefits and care as veterans who were exposed on the land. Guess what? This is a land and sea problem.
If this bill is not approved by year's end, it'll then have to be reintroduced in the new session of Congress next year. A hefty reward now offered for anyone who knows something about a mule deer buck that was poached in Lockwood this past weekend. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks says the animal was killed with a fishing arrow and left to waste. It apparently happened this past weekend in a Lockwood residential area near Hemlock Lane, which is just northeast of the Lockwood School Complex. Here in this picture, you can see the string from the arrow is still attached. Authorities believe the poaching happened either late Sunday or early Monday. The buck had 6 points on one side and a broken antler on the other. Anyone with information about this case encouraged to call 1-800-TIP-MONT. FWP offering a $1,000 reward. While fields across Montana have dried up for the season, things are green year-round for one Billings business. Q2's Victoria Hill tonight takes us to Swanky Roots for this week's edition of Montana Made.
Things are looking green in the Swanky Roots greenhouse. It's a business with deep-rooted family connections that offers up leafy greens year-round.
My mom's maiden name is actually Swanky, and when we were starting to talk about this, she came up with the idea of Swanky Roots. Her maiden name is spelled with an E, so we just decided to change it to the Y to kind of match the fancier version of the word that people are used to seeing.
Upon the rows and rows of greens, it's what's happening beneath the surface that makes this greenhouse so impressive.
We grow aquaponically, meaning that we have fish in our system. They're what drive the system and provide nutrients.
Those nutrients eliminate any need for chemicals or soil. Microbes convert fish waste to fertilizer, and the plants take what they need, returning clean water back to the fish.
We have 8 1,200-gallon tanks, that's these big ones here, and they have about 1,000 fish in each of them. So we've got, with our nursery system as well, almost 10,000 fish in here.
And as time goes by, the system strengthens.
And you notice how those roots aren't very big. Well, they don't have to spread all over trying to get everything because everything's just floating by them. It was kind of cool to see the difference from the first ones with longer roots, and they just keep getting smaller and smaller.
Making for a 365-day-a-year operation for this mother-daughter duo, producing lettuces, kale, tomatoes, and even edible flowers.
Even though growing year-round in Montana seems a little bit crazy, we decided that it would be worth it and that Billings really needed something like this.
With an education in plant science and agriculture, along with some encouragement from Mom, the two decided establishing Swanky Roots would be their next big move.
What's better than homegrown? I mean, I love Montana. I've been other places. I don't ever want to go anywhere. And so to have this right here and to know we can have healthy, fresh, is an awesome thing.
Now their greens can be found in local restaurants stretching as far west as Livingston, with more room to grow. In Billings, Victoria Hill, MTN News.
Thank you, Victoria. Swanky Roots, by the way, is also experimenting with microgreens and other plants like carrots and cabbage to see if they're a good fit in the aquaponic process. Well, still to come on tonight's 5:30 News, a new study is linking childbirth to breast cancer. We'll look at those findings for you coming up. And later in sports tonight, meet two Montana gymnasts who are learning from the best in the world.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Kohn and Janelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire and sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.